Hello and welcome to Preparation for Google Certified Educator Level 1, Session 3. My name is Brett Petrillo. I am a certified educator and a certified trainer. You can find me on Twitter at Brett Petrillo. You can also see me on my webpage, brettpetrillo.com. All right, this preparation series is with the goal of helping you achieve Google Certified Educator Level 1. Now, I want to point out here that I do not work for Google. I cannot give you the certification. You do have to take the test at the end when you feel like you're ready. But this is the first level of training. You can decide in the future if you wish to go for level 2, completely up to you. Like I said, you have to take the exam. It costs $10, and you can use this nice little badge that you have on your screen here in your signature or anywhere you choose to publish it once you pass your exam. You register for your exam at Google for Education Training Center, which is edutrainingcenter.withgoogle.com, and everything you need to know is there, and everything that points you in the direction of becoming a Google Certified Educator. And I'll refer to this site quite a bit as we go on. All right, now let's get started. Last session or last video, we talked about Google Classroom, specifically with adding students, posting content, Guardian updates, the stream and topics, and differentiating the assignments to students. We also explored Gmail quite a bit in the general settings, labels, and filters, adding multiple accounts, chat and hangouts from within Gmail. And then last but definitely not least, we talked about labs and Gmail offline. This session, we're going to be talking about Google Docs. The entire screencast is dedicated to Google Docs because there's so much to go through. And we're going to focus specifically on formatting, on making comments, on email comments, on sharing docs, tables, columns, footnotes, the Explore feature, and how to create a table of contents in your doc automatically. All right, so let's get started with Google Docs, which can be found at docs.google.com if you don't have it installed as an app on your Chrome browser. Okay, first we're going to talk about formatting a Google Doc. But before we get into formatting, we have to create the doc. Now, there's a couple ways to do it. You can go to docs.google.com, or as you can see here, I am in my drive. I can just go up here to New and go all the way down and choose Docs. Now, if you click on just Docs as is, you're just going to get a blank sheet of paper, and I'll show you that in a second. But I want to point out over here, when you go to this little arrow that points right, it gives you two options, a blank document or from a template. If you click on From Template, you get all sorts of options here related to education, essays, reports, class notes. You can see it all here, lesson plans, and then down into letters and resumes. But there's a plethora of templates here for you to use. Now, if you don't want to use that template or a template, you just want a regular blank document, you're just going to go to Google Docs. You can choose blank document, or you can just click on the Google Docs name. And it comes up just like this. Blank screen, no template, untitled document. You see up here in the top left. Now, you can give it a title just by clicking on the name there, and you can title it anything you wish. You can also begin or title it by going to File and Rename. So I keep saying this, but Google gives you many ways to do the same thing, makes it convenient, so you just choose what you want. All right. I have a demo doc over here that I've created that I'm going to work through with you. So let's talk about formatting, like what this is all about. So I'm going to start with File. And I'm going to go all the way down to page setup. Now, in page setup, you see these defaults. Being on portrait, you can choose to have a landscape document. You can choose your paper size right there as well. You can also choose your paper colors. So if I chose, let's say, something I wanted a light blue, I would just hit OK, and you can see that my paper has indeed changed color. Or you could print it on different color paper, completely up to you. I'm going to undo that. Back to page setup. The defaults are that the margins all the way around are 1 inch, or if you're working in centimeters, that's 2.54 centimeters. You can also change your defaults if you wish. So that's the basic page setup. And going back to the document, you have this toolbar right above your document. Now, these arrows here are undo and redo, so if you make a mistake, paint, format, you can zoom in here all the way up to 200%, or you could type in your percentage as well, or just fit to screen. You can choose styles of text. Now, I'm going to go through this more when we talk about creating a table of contents a little bit later on. You can choose your font right here, and there's lots of different choices. Sizing, bold, italic, underlined, text color. Now, automatically when you click on text color, text is chosen, and you can choose whichever color you choose, or whichever you wish. But if your color is not here, then all you have to do is click on custom, and you can choose from a billion different colors here, or actually type in the hex code if you know it, so you can get an exact color that you wish. Okay. Now, if you noticed as well that I'm going to undo my text color to make it black, and next to text is highlight, so you can actually highlight text in that color that you wish as well. And how that is done is you would go over it, go up here, highlight. Let's say I want to highlight it yellow, which is pretty standard, and it would show up like this. Okay. Next to highlight, you can make a text, turn it into a link. Okay, and then here's your left align, center align, right align, or justified. Your line spacing you can increase or decrease here. The default is 1.15. And you can go 1.5, you can go double, or you can also custom space it. So you can put whichever number you want. Maybe you need more or less. It's up to you. And customize the spacing after and before the paragraph. Okay, so that's up here. Then you have numbered lists. So you can click which type of numbered list you want, and you can insert that fairly easily. Do you want letters? Do you want numbers? Do you want a combination? And then right next to numbered lists are the bulleted lists, and you get similar options there. What kind of shapes do you want to show up? Arrows, circles, squares, and then different options for the subset as well. You can also, next to it, decrease the indent going left, increase it going right, and then you can just clear all your formatting as well. That's the toolbar. A lot of these options are also available up in Format, up in the top of your screen. If you click down on Format, you can see pretty much everything that I've talked about, but there's some things here that aren't in the toolbar automatically, like the strike through, superscript and subscript. All of that is there, except for columns. Now, again, columns I'm going to explore a little bit later specifically. And you can also clear your formatting there. All right. Now, with those basics talked about, I want to get a little bit more into inserting. There's a lot that you can insert into a Google Doc. You can insert an image, a link, an equation, a drawing from Google Drawings, charts and tables. We're going to talk more about footnoting later on. You can insert special characters, a horizontal line to be a divide perhaps between paragraphs. You can insert page numbers and specify the location of that number. This would be the top right corner of all pages. This would be the top right corner skipping the title page, or likewise the bottom right corner. Okay, you can also insert page count and page breaks. The header and footer we'll talk about a little bit later, bookmarking, and the table of contents as well. But I'm going to show you right now about how to insert an image and these things up here. So if you want to insert an image, you just click on the word image, and it takes you to this screen here. You can insert one right from your computer. You can choose an image to upload. You can take a snapshot. You can insert by URL. So if you know the URL of an image you want to put there, or your albums that are on your computer, from your drive, you can insert an image right from there. Or I like this cool feature right there, you can search for an image. And if you click that, it gives you this little search bar, and you can type in anything you want and click search. You'll get all sorts of options here, and you notice that underneath has any type. You can specify if it's photo, clip art, line drawing, face, any type of picture. And then underneath here, it says results shown are labeled for commercial reuse with modification, which means you're able to use these photos. You have permission to use them, which is something that every student in your classroom should be thinking about when they're including pictures. So I wanted an example of water. All you have to do is click on it and then hit select that image, and it'll put it right in there. Now you notice this one is actually quite big. The way you change the format of your picture is by clicking it until these boxes show up. And if I just go to one of the corners, I can change the dimensions and make it a little bit smaller. You also notice that when I click on it, I get this option down here, inline, wrap text, or break text. Automatically, by default, inline is chosen, which means that it's in the same line as your text. So it will move it out of place. Let me show you. If I put it down in front of my first word, it is on the bottom of the picture is on the same line as the bottom of the text. If I want to wrap it, well, the text will move around my picture. So wherever I choose to place it, I can place it in a way that the text wraps around my image. Or I can break the text. So if I put it in the middle, the text moves forward. Notice the beginning of the paragraph is on top of the image and it finishes afterwards. I think just for most purposes, it's all up to you, but wrapping the text can be the nicest as far as presentation goes. Okay, so you see that there, inserting a picture, pretty simple. You can also insert a link. Now what you can do is highlight a word perhaps that you want, any word that you want, and then you can go to insert a link, and this pops up. There's my text, and then I can just provide a link for the user to be taken to when they click on that word. You could also insert an equation. Now this is really great for math teachers. So you take a look. I'm going to create a little space for us to work with here. So if I want to insert in a math equation, I would go to equation, insert equation, and it gives me some Greek letters drop down. I can insert, choose whichever one I want. I'm not a mathematician, so this equation is most likely not going to make any sense, but it gives you all sorts of options there. Okay, and with the brackets, you can type between them. If you know how, you can also just type your own equation there. So for you mathematicians out there, Google Docs does help you create your equations. Okay, and you can also, I'm just going to delete that for now. You can also insert drawings. So if you want to click on drawing and you create one yourself right here, it opens up this new drawing window, and you can download your drawing. You can create your drawing all on your own, doing as you wish. You can insert an image, you can change colors, you can have tons of options here in creating a drawing. And then when you want to insert it, you hit save and close, and it inserts it right into your doc. Quite handy. And you can also insert charts, and you have different types of bar, column, line, pie. You can insert a chart right from Google Sheets, which we'll be talking about in our next session, session number 4. You can also insert a table, and we're going to go more deeply into that in a bit. Okay. One last thing as well with formatting, I want to point this out here, find out your word count. You can also use voice typing. So if I click on this and I click to speak and I allow this for my microphone, and then if I start talking, my text should show up just like this. So that becomes very handy with dictations. And I'll just end that right now. And put a period. So there you see the text that I just spoke. So that's very handy as well. All right, so there's a quick introduction to formatting in Google Docs. Okay, let's explore a little bit more about inserting a table. So if you remember from a few minutes ago, you go up to Insert and Table, and you're automatically given all of these choices here. You can have a 1-by-1 column, but if you need a bigger column, all you have to do is simply hover your cursor over top, however many you want. It'll highlight it right there. So if I want a 3-by-2, 3-by-3 square, it goes all the way up to a 20-by-20. So that's a pretty big table. Just for demonstration purposes, let me show what it looks like when you click on a 3-by-2. So this is pretty typical here. You get your cells in your table, and you can type anything you want in each of these cells. These are some basic functionality that happens pretty much in all tables. If you want to copy something and paste it there, and you can see at the top in the ruler that you can adjust the dimensions of your table, or you can just hover over a line and click and drag, and it would change the dimension of the table itself. You can also, from within one of the cells, focus on the dimensions by going to Table Properties after a 2-finger click. So again, I'm in a cell, a 2-finger click or right click, and I go to Table Properties, and I can get some added information here where I can change the color of the border, change the width of the border, change the color of the cell background, and I can align top, center, bottom in each cell. I can adjust the column width. I can also adjust the row height, okay, and then the table alignment on the screen or on the document. That's one way of doing it. There are many other ways, and I'm going to show them to you. So you can see here that I've typed something in. All I have to do to get it centered is by clicking center button up there. If I want the whole thing, I just highlight it, and I can change and make universal changes up here, just like in my doc that's not in a table, just like everything else in the doc itself. Some cool things I want to point out, though, is that you can insert images and all of this stuff up here. You can insert that into your chart. But with regards to your chart itself, let's say I want to change simply the border color. Okay, well, I can highlight it, and you see this arrow pops up. It also pops up if I'm only in one cell. So you see here that I'm in one cell, and there's an arrow. But if I highlight the whole table, I get just one arrow in the top right-hand corner pointing down, and I can highlight what part the part of the border, the part of the lines that I wish. So just perhaps like the outside border, and then that'll highlight that. Now I can make changes as far as width and color to those, to the highlighted border. So if I want to change, let's say I want it to be a bright red, I can do that, and you see that it's just a 1 point width. I can also just go back and highlight that border, and I can change the width right here. Let's say I want it super thick. I can make it 3-point font. Okay. I can also perhaps choose the lines on the inside of my border just by this option there, and I can change that color. Let's say I want that one to be blue, and I want it to be 2.5-point font, but I don't want it to be solid. I have this option right there. What kind of line do I want? I can go dotted, I can go dashed. Let's try dashed, and that's what that looks like. So you see the potential here for creating a table that is not just your typical thin black-lined table. You can also choose to perhaps have all your lines white. Maybe you don't want the lines to show up at all. Well, you can just change the color to whichever the color of your page is. And if I highlight the entire table and 2-finger click, you notice also that I get more options where I can insert rows above, I can insert columns left and right, I can delete the table, I can also merge the cells. So let me demonstrate that. If I highlight 2 cells, 2-finger click, and merge them, then the 2 cells become 1. I can also unmerge cells. I can distribute them automatically evenly, both rows and columns, and I've already shown you what you can do in the table properties. So the table in Google Docs is highly customizable, and you can have a lot of fun creating tables that are appropriate for your classes. All right, I'm going to take this moment to demonstrate something a little fun we can do with columns. Now you see, this is the same document that I've been working on this whole screencast, just a demo document. And it's in one column, which is typical. We've got a left side and a right side, one solid thick column. What if we wanted multiple columns? Or for example, in our classes, maybe we have our students creating newspapers, or in this demonstration, International Educator Weekly. Perhaps I want more of a newspaper feel. Well, what we can do is go up here to Format and down to Columns, and we can choose 1 column, which it is now, 2 or 3 columns. I'll show you 2 just for the example. It automatically takes your document and splits it up into 2 different columns, and you can see that we're already starting to get a bit of a newspaper feel. Let me just go back to Format and Columns. You see down here there's some more options. If I click on that, I can again change the number of columns that I have. And also, I can change the spacing between the columns. So maybe right now it's too large. So maybe I want to get them together. Okay, they're a little bit closer together, little bit thicker columns. Let's see what it looks like when I put in 3 columns. And there you have it, 3 columns. But you see, my picture doesn't fit anymore. But that's no problem. I can just shrink my picture down. Really simple like that. Now, what's my weekly magazine missing? It's missing a title here. Well, I am going to change this text to be a title, nice and big. I'm going to move that up to a header. So let me just copy this for now. If I double click in this space up here, opens up the header. I'm going to paste my text. I'm going to center it. Maybe I give it a bit more of a space there. And now I can delete it from here. So you see, now I've got a nice good title for my magazine or for my newspaper. Now, what if I don't want these lines to show up? Now, that is an option up here in Format under Columns, where I go to More Options, and you see here my option of line between columns. Well, I can just uncheck that if I don't want it. And let's take a look at what that looks like right now. So you can see without a line and not a lot of space between, they kind of get a little mixed up together. So just to fix that, columns, more options, perhaps keep my line and add a bit more of a space between the columns. Okay, and just one more thing with columns, and that is a column break. I would use a column break when I want, let's say for example, I want my column to finish right here where my cursor is. I want this next article, in the example of a newspaper, to start in a new column. So all I would do is put my cursor there, go on up here to Insert, and then go all the way down to Column Break. And when I click that, you'll notice that it starts the next article in the example to the next column, and the first column finishes with nothing else in it. So a column break was just put in there. So you can see that this could be a fun way for your students or for yourself to create different type of documents using different number of columns. Footnotes are relatively easy to put into a Google Doc. However, not a lot of educators or students alike do it or know how to do it. So I'm just going to show you right now how simple it is. Now let's say here I've got this word, this made-up word called aliquam, and I want to put a footnote about this word. I'm going to put the cursor right after it. Then I'm going to go up here to Insert Footnote. I'm going to click there, and notice right after the word there's a little number 1, and if I scroll down to the end of the column I can see my space to type my footnote here. Okay, so that would be super easy to do. And then automatically, if I choose another one, how about this word here, Donek, and I want to put another footnote, again Insert Footnote, and automatically a number 2 shows up, and I can put my footnote right there. And just to show you what this looks like in a one column structure, I'm going to go to change it to one column, and there you see it, my 2 little footnotes down at the bottom of the document. So inserting footnotes is relatively easy in Google Docs. One of the most recent updates in Google Docs is the Explore feature, which is located right down here in the bottom right-hand corner. When you hover over it with your pointer, it'll come up and say Explore. This feature has been in Google Sheets for a while, but just recently they've added it to Docs and to Slides. So let me demonstrate what it does here. If you go down to the bottom right corner, you click on Explore, a new window pops up on the right-hand side that says Explore. Now you can do searches, or you complete searches right from within the Google Doc. It says here, search your docs and the web. So not only are you searching the web, you're searching everything that is in your drive as well. Let me show you how this works. Let's say I'm searching, like before, for the term water. You can see that a web search pops up. First is Wikipedia, a little bit of what water is. Then down here it says web results. And it gives you 6, 7, 8 or so hits, and you can click on them if they see, if for example you think they are appropriate for what you're doing. You can click on it and get further information. It'll open up in a new window. Now also, let's say you borrow some information from one of these sites. You can hover over the quotation marks and cite it as a footnote. So let me demonstrate how this works. Let's say I'm going to borrow this passage just as an example. I'm going to drag it over, put it right there. So there you see it. Water is transparent and the such. Then let's say afterwards I want to cite it as a footnote. All I have to do is go over to where I got it from, hit the quotation marks and then tap it. And I have here number 1. It will show up down at the bottom, if I get my picture out of the way, as number 1, water, Wikipedia. And notice that it also reorganized my other 2 footnotes that I had earlier because number 1 appears first in my document. So there you have a proper citation in footnote format as to where that information came from. Now, the default here is MLA, but I can change that by going over the dots, the snowman, clicking, and I can choose APA or Chicago. Now, this Explore feature also works for images. Earlier we found out, or we learned how to insert images with a search, but you can do it through Explore as well. I just come over here to Images, click on it, and it shows my images that fit my search. Okay, let's say I want to add a new one right there. I would just hover over the image, click the plus sign, which is Insert Image. Now you notice it inserts it right there. Quite large, but remember we can always shrink it down to the size that I need it to be shrunk to. And like such. Now the difference with putting it in this way is it automatically links to the page that you borrowed it from. So if I unclick here, done, it becomes a link to the source, therefore giving proper credit where credit is due. Back over to the Explore feature, the third option is Drive. Now I can click on Drive and it shows everything that is in my Google Drive that matches my search. So right from within Google Docs, you can explore by searching the web and images and your Drive for content that fits your Google Doc. Another feature that is often overlooked in Google Docs is the automatic table of contents that you can create. And I'm going to show you how to do that right now. So you see my cursor is just up here at the top, and I'm going to show you underneath Insert, you can go all the way down to the bottom to Table of Contents. Now you have two options here. One is a table of contents with page numbers. The other is just with blue links, and those blue links will take you to that part of the document. I'm going to show with page numbers just for now. Now you notice I click on it and there's nothing that shows up. It says add headings, paragraph styles, they will appear in your table of contents. What that means is I have to add those headings myself. Now earlier I referred to headings and how we were going to talk about them when we referred to the table of contents, and this is what I mean. So if you look down here, I have the title that I want it to be a title called International Educator Weekly. And up here I have a list of different types of headings that I can choose from. Well, I want this one there, International Educator Weekly, to be a title. Just like that. And you'll see that it pops up just as such. And I'm going to center it because I like my titles centered. Now, underneath that, you see lorem here. Lorem is actually a paragraph heading that I want. So I'm going to call it a heading number 1. Then I'm going to go down there, heading number 1 again. Let's indent this one, and I will call that one heading number 2. And let's go down, and I'm going to indent this one twice and call it a heading number 3. All right, now you see my point. One last one, and we'll call that one a heading number 1 again. All right, so I have assigned headings. Now if I go back up here to where I inserted my table of contents, all I have to do is hit this refresh button right there. And when I do, when I hover over it, it says update table of contents. So when I tap it, boom, there's an automatic table of contents created, as long as you have assigned the proper heading titles. You see that I have my title, heading number 1, Lorem, and the page number. And then as I went down, there's heading number 2, and heading number 3 is automatically inserted underneath its parent. Now, if I wanted to eliminate it, I can just highlight it and delete. But let me show you what the other form of table of contents, the one where there's the blue headings right there. I'm going to click on it, and it shows up like that, where you can hover over it and it'll take you to that part of the document. Now, these are completely editable as well, but it is a quick and easy way to get your table of contents created. All right, now we're going to talk about the thing that makes the G Suite for Education so remarkable and amazing to use is the share feature. So you will see this blue button up here that says share. If I want to share this document that I have here with someone else or a group of people or everybody, I would go up here to share, and you see that this button pops up. Now, on the basic level, I have some options here to how to share it with individuals. You see this pencil. That means that whoever I share it with can edit the file directly. It gives them access to change or add to what I've done. If I click it, I can see a drop down, can comment. What can comment means is that person whom I've shared it with can make comments or suggestions, but they can't change anything that I've done. And the third option is can view. You see it turns into an eyeball, and it says they can view the document or they can print it, but they can't change it and they can't comment on it. So it's protected. There's no changes that they can make. And to add somebody, I would simply just go over to this space here and add the email right in that space. And you see also that I have the ability to add a note to that person or those people, and they will see that right in their email inbox with the note that you have provided them. Now, if you're looking at the screen carefully, you'll see that up in the right-hand corner, there is this Get Shareable Link option. This is for sometimes perhaps you do not want to invite people, but you want to provide them a link to get to your document. Then I would click here where it says Get Shareable Link. And you can see that the link is already highlighted in blue, and I can copy it. Now, anybody who I give this link to will follow this rule here where it says anyone at GTrainer Demo, which is my domain, with the link can view. But I can change this by hitting this little drop-down arrow. I can change it so that anybody can, within the domain, can view, anybody in the domain can comment, anybody in the domain can edit. But what if I want to get it to somebody who's outside of my domain? Then I would go down here to More, where I am given several options, and I'm going to go through them one at a time from the top. You see at the top here, it says that link sharing is on, and it's public on the web. What this means is that anybody on the planet with an internet connection can access your document, and they do not have to sign in. All right? If I go down, it says on for link sharing, anyone with the link, which means that they have to be provided with the link, but if they do have it, they can access it. The next one is link sharing's on for anybody inside of the domain, which is what it was at previously, or I can turn the link sharing on for anyone in the domain with the link. So they would have to not only be in the domain, they would also have to have possession of the link to get there. Or I can turn link sharing off and have it only for specific people, the people that I would invite. So notice as you start from the top and work down, the sharing options become more restricted from less restricted. At the top, anybody on the planet with the internet can access your document. Down at the bottom, only specific people that you have been given or that you have given permission. If you need to know more about this link sharing, you can always follow this link down here, and that will open up a new window in your Chrome browser. When you're done and you've chosen what you want, you would just click Save and then send your document and hit Done. Now, a word of caution here: although sharing a document is extremely valuable and creates an atmosphere of collaboration in classrooms and all over your organization, please be very cautious when sharing documents that could be sensitive. For example, you would not want to send the wrong document to the wrong group of people. You have to really take time and make an effort to ensure that you've chosen the proper sharing settings and that you're sending it and sharing it with the proper people. And that goes across all Google Apps for Education. There's a couple things I want to point out now that we've been able to share our document with other people. Up here, underneath the comments and share buttons, you have the mode that we're in right now. And currently I'm in the editing mode, which is the normal basic mode where you can edit and change and do what you wish with your document. This is the mode that everybody's most familiar with. There's two other modes. Viewing I'm going to start with because it's the simplest. If I click viewing mode, then there's nothing I can do to the document. All I'm doing is just looking at it, and that's all I can do. The one that most people are not familiar with is this suggesting. And this can come in handy in your classroom when you have your students peer editing or when you're making suggestions to your students' documents and you just don't want to change it. So you would click suggesting. And this will pop up green, nice and noticeable, and it lets you know what mode you're in. Now, let's say that this document belongs to somebody else, and I'm editing it. I'm making suggestions. Let's say that I don't like this word weekly. I think it actually should be daily. So normally, if you're in editing mode, you could highlight it and then just type the word daily. But if I do this in suggesting, I would type the word daily, and then notice that it pops up in green and crosses out the word weekly in green. Also, you'll notice that a note, this is a comment or a note that pops up on the right side of the document. So this is a suggested edit that I am making. My suggestion is to replace weekly with daily. I could make another edit, one that just says, let's delete this word completely, and it pops up right there, delete lorem. Now the owner of this document will also see these comments on the side of the document, and if they agree with them, all they have to do is click the check mark and it accepts the change. Or if they don't agree, they could just click on the X and it denies the change. So that suggesting is a wonderful way to have peer review in the classroom, and I think more people should take advantage of its power. Now the next thing I want to point out is under the comments button up at the top. If we hit comment, you'll notice that all those comments or notes that I just made about my suggested edits show up. All right, but if I want to make another comment, well, let's say there's something here that I want to comment on. Perhaps it's this first whole paragraph where I can run my cursor over it, highlight the whole thing, and make a comment by clicking up there, clicking comment. It highlights what I'm commenting on in yellow, and then I can type my comment right there in the box. And then once I've finished my comment, they will see it once I hit the blue button that does say comment. And you can see now that the owner of this document will see the yellow highlight, the faded yellow highlight, and matched with my comment. And they'll be able to hover over it and resolve the issue if they've fixed it. So you can see how this could be incredibly beneficial if your students are handing or submitting Google Docs and you want to make some comments on it. You can do it right there in the document. And one last thing before we finish up the session, and this is specifically about comments and how they relate to Gmail or email. So you may have noticed just in this last section that up here you've got a little button that says notifications. Well, you have a little bit of customization here where you can receive notifications via email when comments are made. Now, only yours or none or all. You can choose to receive notifications. Another feature that I think most people are unaware of but can make life a lot easier is when you're writing a comment to somebody and you want it to go to specifically that person, you want them to get a notice in their email about this comment that you're making. Well, there's a way to do that. Now, here's another way to also make a comment instead of going up to the comment box. When you highlight a section that you want to comment on, you can just, this will pop up and you can click add a comment right there. It's quite simple. So again, this is a comment that I want to send to a specific person. So this is a comment. Okay, so if I want to send this to a specific person, somewhere in this comment box, all I have to do is put the plus sign and then start typing the email of the person that you want to have receive it in their email. They will receive it right there. So if I write Brett Now you see, after I've entered an email, this is called a mention. So you can mention as many people as you want in this comment, and they will receive, it says here, your mention will add people to this discussion and send them an email. So they will get a notice about your comment, and it's because you've mentioned them, and that's what that plus sign does. You'll also notice that when I put in an email, this little assign, now this is saying assign to me because I put in my email, but if you put in the email of somebody else, it would say assign to, and then it would be that person. What that does is that person now, if I check the box, it indicates that that person receives the email and that they have been marked as responsible for making sure whatever it is you've commented on gets done. So it's assigning responsibility for the thing that needs to be done. You can see how this could come in handy, or how it'd be beneficial if you have several people working on one document, but you want your comment to reach a certain person and you want to assign a certain person to making the edit that you think is necessary. All right, so there is a couple ways to make comments and how to get those email notifications out there. Well, that's it for this session of preparing to become a Google Certified Educator Level 1. Join us again next week when we take a look at Google Sheets, specifically average, charts, filter, sort, unique, COUNTIF, absolute ref, and VLOOKUP. My name is Brett Petrillo, and thanks for watching. See you next week in session number 4.